Hello and welcome back to the Loyal Sons Show. That's at the Loyal Sons on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us there and follow us here for Pitt sports content you won't want to miss. If you love seeing the Pete rocking and still hate Jim Boeheim, this is the place for you. The Loyal Sons Show, a safe, sunshiny place for your Pitt Athletics fix, presented by Section 5. My name is David, and I'm joined as always by Squid and Dylan, and we have a electric show for you guys today. Aidan Fisch joined us to talk about his unforgettable senior night and the road that got him there. But first, we have a little bit of unpacking to do on our own. Guys, that was sweet.
Oakland was absolutely electric. You could tell it was going to be a special day when you stepped onto Forbes Ave and saw all the people in their blue and gold, packed house at Hemingway's and Mario's, and man, that was a fun one.
I had fun.
A little too much fun.
A little bit.
There was a lot of fun had before, during, and after the game, but we'll focus on the game. Oh my God, that was a perfect culmination of events. Senior day, Syracuse, and then the game. It lived up to the hype and beyond. I did not expect to score 92 or 99. I didn't expect all of the alley-oops or all the threes or Aidan Fish scoring. It was probably the most fun Pitt game in at least a decade.
If there's one major takeaway from this game, it's that bulletin board material is a very real thing, and that if you say something dumb in front of the world, the internet, TV cameras, whatever, it can motivate 12,000 people to print out pictures of you picking your nose and bring it to a basketball stadium and will a team to its best performance of the season. So good on Jim Boeheim for giving us all that fuel. That was awesome. The team seemed locked in. Capel was locked in, and the zoo was jumping.
I said in a tweet that whenever Jim Boeheim left the tunnel, that was the loudest I heard the Pete in a long time. Like even after like the big wins, I think it was equally as loud because everyone was booing and yelling at once. But then there were so many big moments of that game that kind of get overlooked. Like Aidan Fish obviously stole the show, and rightfully so. Nike Sabandi's alley-oop was sick. But we had a Diaz Graham alley-oop in transition. That was sick. Nelly had 13 assists. Greg Elliott had 5 threes in the second half alone, and that's like an afterthought. There were so many big moments in that game.
The box score is hilarious. Like I'm looking at Nelly having 14 points and 13 assists is insane. 1 turnover, 13 to 1 assist to turnover ratio.
Pretty bad ratio.
Pretty good. Blake Hinson was 6 for 17 from 3, and like there were multiple times where he pump faked from like 40 feet, and I was like, I think he really wanted to shoot that. It was what else we got here? Federico 5 for 5 from the floor, 14 and 6. Jamarius Burton a near triple double, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. I mean, these dudes played outside of their minds, and shout out to Jim Boeheim and his archaic defense that he refuses to come out of. What did he say in the post game? They can't play man. They're not good enough at it.
I thought it was hilarious because he said that their only chance to get back in the game was to press, to speed us up and maybe like turn the ball over. Because if they sat in the zone, Pitt would have just milked the clock and won. So they tried to press, and it clearly didn't work. But he said they had no other option. Someone asked if he thought about going man-to-man, and he just said, like, we can't play man-to-man. Like, we've tried, and we're just not good enough at it. As if...
What do you mean? cover the guy.
Coach your players. Teach them. You have a bunch of Division I basketball players out there. I'm sure they've played man-to-man at some point in their life.
It's the most basic form of defense in sport. Everybody cover a guy. Simply do it.
Guard who got you, and no, I guess they couldn't do that.
I don't know if that was Noah Hiles who asked him that question, specifically, but our guy was kind of giving it to Jim Boeheim. So shout out to Noah for I don't know if it was intentional because Noah is a big J and he would never intentionally try to get under Jim
No,
Boeheim's skin.
He just asked if he thought his comments had an impact on the crowd, and Jim Boeheim said no. It's a loud crowd in a big rivalry game. They're always a great crowd when we come to town, and it was no different than any other time since we've been good. So he compared to the olden days, but there was a little bit more.
Oh, you couldn't tell me there wasn't more juice in that arena because of him being an old curmudgeon.
The arena was bumping like the second you walked in. I couldn't believe how packed it was. Like the Miami game was also a sellout, but it just felt completely different on Saturday. Like you said, the zoo was locked in from the jump. They were absolutely giving it to Boeheim and Judah Mintz. Every time Judah Mintz touched the ball, he was crushed with boos. He had a really tough boos, as in booing him, not throwing beer at him. That would be very inappropriate.
Way funnier.
Would be funnier. Also, someone threw a towel like on the floor after the first bucket. And they had to give I know once you get the PA announcer giving the crowd a warning that they're going to get the team a technical, that's when you know you're going to have a big crowd for the night. Big day. But crowd was awesome, and Pitt basketball has revitalized the city, and the fan base came back quick. I saw someone mention it was some upset, crabby West Virginia fan on Twitter saying that Pitt fans are all bandwagon fans. They weren't here the last couple of years. No, these are the people who were fans 10 years ago, and now the team has given them something to root for again. And they're all that energy that we've bottled up for years and years is coming out.
Yeah, as one of those people to a T that was off the bandwagon for a couple of years and now it is back on it. In my defense, it's fine.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's fine.
I'm just so happy to see Pitt recapturing the interest of the city and seeing that like kind of revitalized, because we've talked about it a million times before. This basketball team had a reach that so far surpassed any other what any other college sport can be capable of in Pittsburgh. This was Pittsburgh's NBA team, basically. This was the closest thing we had to pro basketball, and you would even see abominations of humans that were Pitt basketball fans and Penn State football fans, just because they needed a basketball team, and Pitt was that. And while those people should not be allowed to legally exist, I think it just goes to show how strong of a brand Pitt basketball is in this city. And we're seeing it reawakened. I went to a pretty random bar to watch the game. And by the end of the game, the whole bar it started on one TV in the corner. And by the end of the game, entire bar was locked in.
I was sitting between an older woman and a father with a 7-year-old son.
You get her number?
By the end of the game, we were like hooting and hollering all together. Just like three very different people, different points of our lives, but we were all like cursing Jim Boeheim as one. So it was cool to see. Nature is healing, especially in Oakland.
Yeah, so that win was so impressive in terms of efficiency, which is apparently the only thing that matters. That I feel like we don't even have to talk about Georgia Tech. That one was quite unfun as far as wins go. Are we cool just skipping over that one?
I mean, they're both gutty wins. We can skip over it, but I want to mention a theme. Pitt was down, didn't look good. It was ugly, but they came through and won. I think it'll be forgotten that Pitt was losing. I think it was in the second half against Syracuse. Right? Or was that late first half?
Either way, it required some level of climbing back, some level of facing adversity. And once they went up in that second half against Syracuse, they really started to pile it on. There was a real run it up Herman, leave no doubt moment there with like 8 minutes left or so, and they just started pouring it on. Nobody could miss a shot. That press was getting broken down about as easily as anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Squid, they never trailed in the second half against
Yeah,
Syracuse.
it was late first half.
Either way.
But point was, the team caught fire. This team is capable of catching fire, and that is something you love to see this time of year. I'll just leave it as that.
Yeah, I think we've seen a couple times where when Pitt struggles to shoot the ball, look at the Virginia Tech game, they struggle to score points and win games, but they've shot the ball well enough, consistently enough that, I mean, we've heard it a dozen times at this point, but if they can shoot like this in March, they can play with anyone. If shots are falling, Blake Hinson gets hot from three. If Nelly Cummings hitting shots, Greg Elliott hitting shots. I mean, these guys can play with just about anyone if those shots are falling. So definitely good to see. I know, David, we worry sometimes about, are they using up a good shooting night?
Mm-hmm. Which are finite.
So right. It's finite. You only get so much shooting karma, but I'll take every last one of those 16 threes we hit against Syracuse to rub it in Jim Boeheim's face.
Yeah, I mean, that was the perfect opportunity to expend our 3-point luck. I am very okay with that.
So, as we stand Sunday evening after a big win against Syracuse, Miami and Virginia both went down on Saturday. So that puts Pitt in first place in the ACC. And a win against Notre Dame on Wednesday would clinch at least a share of the regular season title in the ACC. You hear that?
Heard that.
And Pitt would be the worst ranked via preseason polling ACC team to ever win even a share of the regular season title. I believe the previous record was like the 6th seed. And that's happened 3 times. They showed a graphic, I think. But really just a credit to what this team has done compared to expectations.
Absolutely. And there's a chance that Miami game could come down to be the de facto, I guess it wouldn't be the ACC title, because if we beat Notre Dame, then it would just be playing for a share or the conference title outright. But either way, for the 1 seed, maybe for the 1 seed in the ACC tournament. God, it's crazy to think that a team that started 1-3 sits here as of the end of February, that we could just lock up the ACC in about 4 days. So,
yeah, things really
came
together for Pitt. Things came together for Pitt on this past weekend with Miami and Virginia both stumbling. Florida State pulling off that insane last-second 3 to beat Miami. It was a perfect Pitt basketball day. Perfect. There's nothing you could have changed to make it better.
One thing, I think Aidan Fisch could have hit a 3 to give us an even 100, but I think that would have just been all too perfect, and can never really have true perfection in this life. So, but I think his bucket that bounced off every square inch of that rim, falling through, and then the entire bench running onto the court. I think Pitt had a solid like 12 people on the court by the time that shot fell through the hoop. And I don't know, was that louder, or was the boos of Jim Boeheim at the beginning of the game louder? Because
the end of the game was louder. It passed it up. I almost like threw my phone in the air. Like, I didn't even realize what happened. There was so much chaos on the court.
I'm frantically trying to look up the list of ranked teams that lost this week, because it's like pages long. And I think
something like 15 of the 26 teams ranked ahead of us in the AP poll.
Yeah. So is it finally our week?
At this point, I don't even know. I could see us dropping. Don't rank them. I don't want to be ranked. Being ranked's overrated.
Yeah, actually, our defensive efficiency wasn't great this week, so we're going to drop
a couple
Yeah.
spots. Do you guys want to guess the date of the last time Pitt was ranked in basketball?
2016.
Squid?
I know we were on the verge the COVID year, but then we ended up rattling off like 8 straight losses to end the season after beating Duke. It had to be the first Stallings year, wasn't it?
Which year was that?
— 2015, 2016. What's the date? Give us the date.
Pitt has been unranked since January 4th of 2016. I'm sorry, January 11th of 2016.
7 years.
7 years since one of the most prolific basketball programs of this millennium has been ranked in the AP poll.
This is off topic, but do you want to hear a hilarious stat? Kind of not off topic because it's Syracuse related. I rewatched the 2011 Pitt Syracuse game when Pitt went up 19-0. They said on the broadcast that Pitt was 50-1 in their last 50 games at the Pete.
That is better than 98% winning percentage.
Yeah,
which is a lot. That's a lot. You get that on a test. Your parents hang the test on your refrigerator.
In the Big East, the prime Big East.
Jeez.
It's like acing the SAT.
I'm so happy, man.
Same.
Having this back is so cool.
So let's look ahead. We got Notre Dame. They have lost 11 of their last 12. So
I don't like that.
They've played some close games lately. They've lost to Virginia by 2. They lost to Duke by 4.
Mike Bray's last game at home at Notre Dame.
I've watched this team. They stink.
Nothing you guys have just said have made me feel better about our game against them for some reason.
So we got that, and then the big showdown against the U. I'm sure they'll want some revenge. I'm sure they'll probably be favorites down in their place this time, but that's going to be another big game.
Please win, I think, is our message here.
Yeah, let's keep it simple. Let's please win both of those games.
By 100. And also, please be ranked in the top 10. No, we're asking too much. Please win.
Please win. Let's talk to Aidan Fisch, the star of Saturday, when there were so many stars out for Pitt, but the real star was Aidan Fisch. So great interview with him, and we'll talk to him now. This segment is brought to you by Rhoback. There's only one way to describe Rhoback, and it's best fit, best feel. Their performance polos are hands down the best polos out there. Not only do they have the coolest designs, but also breathable and moisture wicking. I'm rocking a quarter zip right now. Definition of versatile. You can wear them to the office, to the gym, on the links. Golf season's coming up, so go get you one. The hoodies, comfiest thing ever. Squid got one on right now. These, I can't even describe how comfortable it is. They gave us 3 pieces of clothing, the polo, the quarter zip, and the hoodie, and they are, in no particular order, the 3 comfiest, nicest things I own officially. So,
yeah, I can't take it off. It's so good for laying down. It's so good for running and moving around in, if that's like a thing that you do.
So everything. It's good for anything, whether you're laying around being fat or if you're out running around. I went for a jog today in this, and it was perfect.
So if you want some Rhoback, trust me, you do. Use the code LOYALSONS on Rhoback.com for 20% off your first order. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all polos, Q-zips, hoodies, and tees with the code LOYALSONS.
And if it's not your first time, just make a new email address.
Yep, that's first time orders only for the 20% discount.
Please welcome onto the show, hometown hero and forward for the Pitt Panthers, Aidan Fisch. Aidan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, just another day living the dream.
Absolutely. I'm honestly glad that you can hear us. I was worried you might develop tinnitus or something after you made the Pete explode last night. Hit a big shot last couple minutes of the game, and again, I thought the place was going to erupt. Why don't we start there? What did that moment mean to you? Getting a bucket in front of a sold out senior night crowd at the Pete in a huge win against Syracuse.
I mean, it's hard to put it into words like how much it means to me. You know, I got my first bucket earlier this year against Fairleigh Dickinson, but there really weren't many people in the crowd. Like the zoo, I think the zoo was on break. You know, like it was really cool, but to do it in front of a sold out crowd was definitely a different level of excitement.
As the game went on, did you have a feeling you might get in and get a chance to score on your senior night?
Yeah, so I was looking up at the scoreboard, and all my boys, they call it the fish watch. And then so I look up in the stands, and they're doing this. They're doing the fish watch. You know, when it gets to that like 15-point range, and, you know, that means, you know, we're a shot or two away from me going in with like 2 minutes left, a minute left, 3 minutes left, whatever. So Greg got hot from three. They started pressing. We started, you know, kind of dissecting them. And
yeah, it didn't go well.
Yeah. I mean, like the press, I guess it sped us up a little bit, but like we were just getting whatever we wanted.
It just made you score faster.
Yeah. And so I was like looking up at the score where I was like, here we go. Let me tuck I start to tuck my jersey in, whatever, when I feel might be going in. I tucked it in with like 5 minutes left. So
we're it's 6 p.m. on Sunday. We're about almost 24 hours removed from the game. What have these last 24 hours looked like for you? Because I'm sure you're getting blown up by everyone. You got a video of you on SportsCenter last night. Like, what's this 24 hours been like?
It's been like the amount of messages and whatever, Twitter and Instagram, like it's just blowing up. Like my phone, even if I'm not on it, it's using so much energy, like getting all these notifications. It's dying like every hour. So I'm constantly having to have it plugged into the charger. It's ridiculous.
I saw KD commented on your post.
Yeah, that was, dude, we were sitting in my living room and like, you know, we're getting ready to go out, and I'm just like, everyone's celebrating. And then my boy looks at me, he goes, dude, Kevin Durant commented on your post. And I was like, which Kevin Durant? Like, not that Kevin Durant. He's like, yes. So I didn't know this, but he followed the Pitt basketball account like a month ago. And I guess, you know, Coach Capel, like, you know, he connected to him through USA Basketball back in like, whatever, 2012, 2014, that type of stuff. But, you know, as you know, KD's like a big social media guy, and he just loves basketball. So that was pretty cool.
It must be a really weird feeling knowing that Kevin Durant knows your name. I don't think the same goes for us. I don't think we're there yet, but that's one of the greatest scorers and basketball players in history is pretty thrilled with your story.
Yeah. One of my brothers is like goes crazy about everything I do, and then one of them, like, he's like, yeah, good job, dude. Like, congrats. Like, you're still like, you only had 2 points, dude. But like, so like when KD like commented, he was like, yeah, I mean, like, he's all right. Like, that's kind of cool.
That's such a brother move, though, to just like be a little bit of a dick about every accomplishment.
Like a little bit of a douchebag with everything.
Well, I mean, it makes sense why someone who loves basketball as much as KD would be intrigued. Your story is, you know, such an incredible one, and one of the reasons that we all love sports. You started as a manager on Pitt's basketball team, and made it to where you are now. So for those of us that are listening that aren't as familiar with your story, would you mind? I'm sure you've given it 100 times. Would you mind to give them a little run through about how you got where you are?
For sure. So I came to Pitt, and obviously I wanted to walk on. I was a pretty late bloomer. I was like 5'9" for most of high school. And then when I hit my growth spurt, I suffered all these injuries and basically didn't play my entire senior year. So once I got to college, I was probably like 6'4", grew another like 1.5 inches my freshman year. But I reached out to the coaches, and I was like, are you guys having a walk-on tryout this year? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, like, we're not having a walk-on tryout, but you could become a manager. So I was like, damn, I really don't want to become a manager. Like, I don't want to do that. So I met with Brian Regan, who's the director of basketball operations. And I was like, all right, man, like, I'll become a manager. And he like looked at me, he's like, dude, just a heads up. Like, I know you want to become a player, but that doesn't really happen. Like, you don't go from a manager to a player. Like, it's not something that normally happens. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, like, let me see what I can do. At least get my foot in the door somehow, like, instead of waiting for the next year for a possible tryout, like, let me familiarize myself with the coaches, like, let them know who I am. So the first day of practice, Coach O'Toole noticed I was pretty tall. He goes, hey, what's your name? I was like, Fish. And he's like, Fish. All right, get down here. So I'm down there. I was just playing defense on the big guys for the first few months of practice, and I'm getting beat up. I weighed like 165 pounds at that time. Like, I was so skinny. I'm getting beat up. So I had to put on a little weight, and I started playing better and better in practice. And one day, playing defense on the big guys, and T.O. would tell me, he's like, all right, go 80%, go 90%, go 100%, try and get a stop here. So this one day I got must have been like 6 stops in a row, and like everyone's going wild, like
Feeling it.
Yeah. And then the next play, someone just throws an elbow at me and broke my nose, like bloody nose everywhere. And so I ran over, like plugged it up and went back out. And like the coaches loved that. So, the next day of practice, so every day of practice, we normally end with someone shooting a free throw. You make it, practice is over, you miss it, we run, down and back. And it's normally like a starter. Like, it's not even just anyone. It's normally a starter, someone who's going to be in a high pressure environment during the game. And I got my towel and my ball right next to me, and he goes, Fish, you got a free throw. So I'm like, me? Right? So I stepped up there and knocked the free throw down. Everyone mobbed me, and I'm like, damn, like, I think I'm gonna get on the team. Like, it's happening. Didn't end up happening for the rest of the year. So I was like, shit. I blew it, right? But I keep on, COVID hit, and I'm keeping in contact with Coach O'Toole, and he goes like, he's telling me like there may be a roster spot, keep working, blah, blah, blah. And I got a text on May 30th at like 9 o'clock. I believe it was a Friday or Saturday night. And he's like, you up? And I was like,
Of course I'm up.
I was like, yes, sir. Like, he's like, he calls me immediately. He's like, Fish, just want to let you know you made the team. Well, and I couldn't believe it. I called my parents. My dad thought I was getting a prank call or something. He's like, are you sure it's real? Like, what do you mean you're on the team? I was like, Dad, like, I'm on the team. Like, I'm a player. He's like, all right. And my mom's going crazy. She's crying.
Your brother's
Yeah.
like, that's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, my brother, he was like, my one brother's like, oh my God, this is amazing. The other one's like, yeah, like I'll still beat you in 1-on-1, blah, 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 like that type of stuff.
A lot of people play D1 basketball.
Yeah. He's like, dude, like I used to play against guys at the rec, like who played overseas. Like, and I hit a step back on them. I was like, all right, you're 5'9" and like have no left hand. But anyways, that is how I got on the team. And then ever since it's been, awesome.
So Coach Cable gave you a scholarship this year after being a walk-on. What was that conversation like, or how was that presented to you? And then who was the first person you told?
Yeah, so I had in the back of my mind that they had an open scholarship, but I was like, I don't know if they're gonna give me one, because a lot of times they just don't, give it to someone. But whatever. It was like a month ago at the end of practice. I break everyone down. Like I do we do together on 3, familiar on 6, and I'm the guy who breaks us down. But he goes, like right before we're breaking down, he goes, and by the way, Fish, you're on scholarship. And like, I was like, what? Everyone mobs me. Like,
The coaches always keep you on your toes.
yeah, exactly. Right. Couldn't believe it. And then first person I told, I tried calling my dad and my mom, and they were at work. They didn't answer. And then I sent a text, and they must have seen it. And then they called back. And my dad had a similar reaction. He was like, what do you mean you're on scholarship? Dad, you get your money back. Right? So he was happy about that for sure. But yeah, that was pretty cool.
So you came a long way. You got the scholarship mid-season.
Yeah.
Then this weekend, senior day. What were the emotions like leading up to the game?
Oh man, we have shoot around 5 hours before every game, and I got there a little early just to put up some shots, and I'm the only one in there. I just kind of was like, I just took a seat and kind of trying to take it all in, and literally was just getting emotional, by myself, just there. I was like feeling a lot of different emotions, happy but sad that, it's coming to an end. The Pete this year has been unbelievable. But warm-ups was awesome. The ceremony was awesome. The game was awesome. Like I can't say enough about just the environment made it just a special night,
Yeah, I'm sure, you're a Murraysville kid, so I'm sure we don't have to tell you, but that really felt like back in the Big East days when they were winning conference championships.
For sure. I mean, I've been to, I want to say around like 150 Pitt basketball games. Like my dad's had season tickets since before I was born, and he would bring me along for a lot of them. And that, I want to say that like it's been like 8 years since it's been like that, but honestly, I think it's been more. Like last night was crazy. And maybe I'm a little biased, but it was just, it's hard to put into words like how electric that place was.
It was too perfect. It was Pitt Syracuse. It was senior day, the first sellout, and the way the game went down, you couldn't have scripted it any better.
Right. And a lot of people, a few of my roommates, they're asking me, they're like, why is this game out of all of them so highly anticipated? And I said, it's a multitude of factors. It's the last game of the season. It's Saturday at 5:00, which Pitt fans love that.
Oh, yeah.
A
lot of time to pregame.
It's Syracuse, who has been historically our Big East rival. They may not be up to par as what they were, but it's still like the older Pitt fans, I feel like, see that game. They're like, all right, this is a big one. So I think they come out for that. it's senior night, and then add on Boeheim's comments, and you got a full storm of passionate Pitt fans showing up to the Pete.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wanted to ask about that and tell us as much as you can without getting in trouble. But was there any conversation within the team about what Boeheim had to say?
I mean, guys are definitely a little taken aback by those comments. I mean, like, we kind of like that stuff, though. It gives you some juice. It gives you some motivation to, take it to them. But I'll leave it at that.
Do you think he was specifically referring to Pitt giving Aidan Fish a scholarship as buying a team?
Actually, I believe it was the lump sum of money that I received from multiple donors.
They got you a new Silverado or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I got the new Dodge Charger. Just the standard package.
Absolutely. But I mean, there's, a difference between a sellout crowd and what that was last night. Like that was, and like I said, you almost reduced the place to like a pile of rubble when you scored.
Right.
What does it feel like to have the student body have your back to the extent they love you? I don't know if you knew this.
So I was like telling people, I'm like, honestly, like, it makes me nervous because every time I get the ball, it's like, oh, like you can hear everyone in the stands like get up, and it's like, oh shit, like now I'm tense, like whatever. But yesterday it was like, all right, JB, Blake, all them came to me. They're like, dude, we're coming to you. You're shooting it. Like there's no if and buts about it. Like you're putting it up. Right. So the first possession, I get it. I can't really get a three off. I do a little behind the back and I see Jesse Edwards. I'm like, oh shit. Like this dude leads the league in blocks. Like, so I just threw something up. He didn't even try to block it because I guess he had 4 fouls, but I bricked that. I was like, damn, I blew it because there were only like 40 seconds left. Next possession, I'm like, all right, I got this. Right. So I take a step back. I kept on, Blake was telling me, it's like, dude, all right, don't dribble the ball. Just fire that from 40 feet. Dude, they want to see you shoot the ball. Fire it from 40 feet. So I take a step back in the zone. I'm like, dude, the zone is perfect. Like I can get this off. And the three I took, I thought that was bottoms. Like I was like, oh my God, it's right on line. Like if you see the video, like I'm like backing up. I'm doing like the like
Here
one
it
of
comes.
those. Came off. Blake gets the offensive rebound and he's looking for me, but he doesn't see me. I'm like, Blake, I'm right behind you. Like turns, pivots, and looking at the video, I guess I had another open three, but I've always been more of a slasher. So I was like, all right, screw it. I'm going back to my bread and butter. So I did saw the big guy, kind of split those guys, threw it up with the left hand, and felt like the ball was on the rim for an hour. That was, and then when it dropped, obviously went ape shit. So
I've watched the clip 100 times at this point. I'm sure everyone on this call has, but it doesn't even look like that ball should have went in. The bounce on the rim, it looks like it's coming out.
It was
I
awesome.
think the Pete just willed that into the
Pete
rim.
willed it in. That was awesome. Yeah.
I think the best part about that whole thing is how there's still like 8 seconds left and the whole team is like on the court jumping around, not playing defense, like already mobbing you.
Right. Dude, and like I was so excited. I just blacked out on energy, and like obviously we weren't playing any defense. There's a view that Heather Light tweeted, and you can just see Jorge Diaz-Graham just like jumping up like a little kid.
Yeah.
Like we're not playing any defense. But when I ran over, like I couldn't stop. Like I just like looked at the Syracuse bench. I was yelling all these profanities. I don't know what I was doing. Yeah, it was.
You were feeling yourself. That's what you were doing.
Yeah.
And how did it feel on the bottom of that dog pile? Looked like Blake
Oh,
threw
not
down
good.
and
Not
everyone
good.
piled up.
There's some big boys. Come on. Blake, the video, Blake like tackled me from behind. But
Yeah, he's a defensive end.
He's a big
That
boy,
one, yeah.
for sure. Yeah, he could have a future as a tight end. You know.
We actually talked about that at length in our interview. We talked to Noah Hiles from the Post Gazette, and we were trying to formulate a plan to get Hinson into the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I've come to the conclusion that he might like football more than basketball. Like, he is obsessed with football, specifically Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But like everything, like we'll have a game and he's just like talking about the Bucks like the entire day. Now, when they lost in the playoffs, he stopped talking. But he's definitely a football guy.
So you hit the shot, you get dogpiled, and your teammates celebrating with you. It looked like some of them were just as happy as you were that you hit that shot. What do you think it's been that what have you done to gain so much respect for your teammates that they get so happy when you succeed?
I think it's just like day in, day out, you know, just being consistent with my work ethic and giving them encouragement and energy every single day. You know, that's one of my biggest things is sharing energy with the guys and sharing positive energy, which I think is important to any successful team, really like anything in life. But definitely that, you know, a lot of these guys I've only known for a year, but you know, every single day in practice is a joy, and I try and give them the boost that they need to be successful. And, you know, they were just kind of reciprocating that last night.
Yeah, we can check with our stat department, but I'm pretty sure if you count your entire tenure at Pitt, you are the longest tenured player on this team.
Yeah, I definitely am.
Yeah. What do you think has been the biggest change since day one when you showed up to today? Because it's showing on the court, but we don't see the behind the scenes.
It's two things. It's maturity and selflessness. We have a group of guys, Nelly, Greg, Blake, JB, and Nike. These guys are old. They're seasoned.
Older than the Thunder, we've heard.
All they care about is winning. They don't care if they score 0 points as long as we get the win. That is all that matters, because they've realized they've been on teams that, you know, maybe had some issues with winning and culture issues and locker room issues, and losing yourself into winning is a rare thing in college basketball now with the transfer portal, with NIL, with all that stuff. So finding a group like this is very rare, and when you get it, it can be very special. You know, that's just the biggest thing. These guys, they're selfless. All they want to do is represent the name on the front of the jersey, and it's refreshing, to be honest. It makes every single day much more enjoyable.
And do you see the younger guys kind of soaking that up?
Yeah,
because I know we have an older team, and a lot of guys are gone after this year. But I think you can tell Panther Nation would like to see more of this in the future. So,
oh yeah, I mean, the Twins are all about winning. Nate Santos all about winning. Will Jeffers all about like these guys. Like, they're good guys. They're program guys. You know, they're guys that are thinking about the team. Obviously, every single player is going to have individual goals and aspirations, but you know, they buy in. You know, you can see the energy. Like, some games Jorge might not play or Nate might not play, but you look on the bench and their energy is never wavering. You know, they're always excited for their teammates, and sometimes you take that for granted. But you know, a lot of guys aren't about that all the time, and it's nice to have an entire team with that.
What was your first impression of the Twins?
So I hosted them on their official visit. And they're just like the nicest guys ever. Like, they're just happy to be here. Like, they never thought they would be playing basketball in America. Like, this is a dream come true for them. So like every single day, like when I met them, they were just joyful, you know. And as far as like basketball wise, I mean, those two kids have a lot of potential. You know, you see some unbelievable plays. You see some plays that make you scratch your head, but that's what you get with young, talented players, you know. And they're going to work through those mistakes. They're going to put on muscle. They're going to work in the summer, and I think they're going to be really, really good players for us in the future.
Yeah, they speak highly of you. I know when they were on the Jeff Cable show and they mentioned you hosting them, but they seem awesome. And honestly, everyone on this team seems like you guys are just having fun. But those two in particular, Coach Cable can't help but laugh when they're in the press conference with them.
Yeah,
But is there, I guess, looking at the team and how much you guys all get along, do you think there was there like a turning point this season? Because you guys started 1-3 and it kind of looked like it's just going to be another Cable season.
Right,
Was there like one moment that you saw, or was it just kind of you guys had to grow and mesh a little bit?
I think it was a grow and mesh. You know, we knew we were a good team. We'd gone through workouts the entire summer. We're like, dude, we're better than this. Like, we're a good team. And I think, you know, we weren't meshing at the beginning of the year. We weren't shooting it well. And we kind of just had to learn through that. And, you know, that's what's made this a great season. It hasn't been all ups, you know. We've gone through some bumps in the road, but we've gotten over that. And I credit that to, you know, the older guys being able to lead us through that and, you know, not let a few bad games, you know, determine the entire season.
Speaking of the team's closeness, I imagine you guys celebrated accordingly after such a big win on senior night.
Yeah, that's safe to assume.
And we can actually have liberty to talk about it because everyone on this team is like 30, so there's no need to worry about.
Right. Yeah. We, you know, had a few beverages.
Us too. Would you like to apologize on behalf of Pitt basketball for the way the three of us woke up feeling this morning?
Listen, I was in the same boat. My mom called me. She goes, "Are you alive?" Like, I was like, "Nope, barely."
Moms always know.
Yeah,
They always know
for sure.
Yeah, seeing Pitt, you know, Oakland, the team, the town, be as energetic and as excited as, you know, the scenes before, during, and after the games yesterday. It's got to be, you know, so huge for you, having been to 150 Pitt games.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you to be part of the revival of Pitt basketball?
That, you know, that's a crazy thing for me to actually hear, but I mean, being a part of it is, I'll cherish that for the rest of my life for sure. I mean, I love this program. You know, I do anything for it, and just to see us having success now is unbelievable.
Aidan, we appreciate your time, and we will let you go, you know, enjoy the rest of your Victory Sunday. But we have a little game we like to play with our basketball guests called Full Court Press. We'll ask you a couple rapid fire questions. You can answer them rapid fire, but, you know, if you got a story, we love a good story. So
All right.
Take it at your pace, and we'll rip off a couple. You all right with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Question 1: who was your favorite Pitt player growing up?
Ashton Gibbs.
What is your favorite Oakland establishment?
Ooh. Dude. Probably in my earlier days, Mario's, but I don't know. Now,
Moved on.
yeah. Now, whew, let me think. Dude.
Where'd you spend your Saturday night? Your celebration night?
Tequila Cowboy.
Okay. Branching out of Oakland. We can take that.
Yeah. Favorite Oakland establishment now. Let's go with we go with Frenchie's.
Love it.
Love Frenchie's.
Funniest teammate.
Blake Henson.
Favorite Tim O'Toole quote.
Shit. There's so many of them. Oh, it was like my first day of practice. Like, if you throw one-handed pass again, I'm gonna fucking kill you, Fish.
And have you thrown a one-handed pass since?
No, it worked.
Yeah, that checks out from Tim O'Toole. Who do you think is your toughest teammate to guard?
Nike. Too athletic for me.
I guess that was going to be my next question, was most athletic teammate. Would that also go to Nike?
Nike by far. Nike by far.
Yeah, I think that alley-oop answers that question.
Yeah. Quick backstory. I don't know if any of you guys know this, but when he was at Miami, Ohio, he tested with like a 47-inch vertical, which would be the highest in NBA Combine history. So,
What?
Just to leave you with that. Yeah.
On a trampoline or?
Yeah, I believe it watching that dunk because I think his chin was at the rim.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, I wish you could see some of the. If you just watch him warm up, sometimes like he just gets his eyebrows at the rim like pretty easily.
Last question. Pitt's probably going dancing this year. What can Pitt fans expect from their Pitt Panthers in the NCAA tournament?
Shoot. You know, I don't want to jinx anything, but if we get there, you can expect some big shots. You know, we got guard heavy team, a shooting heavy team, and I like our chances against anyone in March. You know, guards win in March, old guys win in March, shooting wins in March. So hopefully we make it happen.
I could run through a brick wall right now, Fish.
My man.
You got us ready.
Let's go. Let's get it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations again on everything. It's been an incredible career, an incredible journey, and we are so excited to see how the season concludes in March or April.
My guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us. Hail to Pitt.
All right, hail to Pitt. See ya.
Hey, Panther Nation. Have you ever crashed your spin scooter going down Cardiac Hill? Or wiped out on an icy sidewalk in South Oakland? Have you ever been hit by a bus crossing Forbes Avenue? Well, you may not have to pay that hospital bill on your own. If you're hurt in an accident, pick up the phone and call Guido at Gurrera Law. Guido Gurrera is a University of Pittsburgh Law School grad, Pitt football superfan, and experienced personal injury attorney who's licensed in Pennsylvania and Ohio. And it is 100% free to call him for consultation on your personal injury case. So the next time you get rear-ended in Oakland rush hour traffic, or if you fall down the stairs at Peters, call Guido. All joking aside, Oakland and the world can be a very dangerous place. If you need legal help, talk to Guido. He'll treat you like a fellow Pitt fan and never like a number. 412-229-7757 is the number to call. That's 412-229-7757 to call Guido. You can also contact Gurrera Law at gurreralaw.com. That's Gurrera. Call Guido today. Thank you again to Aidan Fisch for taking some time out of his Big Bad Sunday to talk to us about the big win against Syracuse and his huge bucket. Really excited to see him get in a couple more times before the end of the year. And again, really appreciate his time and love his story. So we are going to send you all out into a bright and shiny ACC regular season championship clinching week. But before we let everyone go today, Squid and Dylan, please hit me with your final thoughts.
I have a quick one. This is not a sponsored ad, but I have Moonlit Burger just sitting beside me. I've been smelling it for the duration of this podcast, and I cannot wait to eat it. It looks so good. I will report back next week on how good it was.
Well, hold on, just an idea. Moonlit, you should sponsor us, and then Squid will complete his review, or better yet, he'll say something nice. You get half of our compliment and advertising up front, and then the other half once you pay us.
Yeah, we could turn in the bar stool and do nothing but gamble and review different types of food. So, just a thought.
I often wonder how much we should feel at liberty to talk about like foods and brands we like, because they, no free ads, but also like Frank's Pizza doesn't have to give me a cent for me to evangelize for it.
Squid, let me know how that burger is. I've been wanting to try.
Yeah,
it.
would you get on it?
I think I got everything. It's got the classic double burger. It's got all kinds of stuff. I got some special sauce. I got some caramelized onions and deliciousness.
If any of our listeners know anyone associated with Moonlit Burgers, tell them to hit us up. If they just like comp a meal, that is good enough for me. I'm very hungry right now.
Oh, it closed at 7, dude. I would have to go get it. Damn it. My final thought, closing thought. This may be some recency bias, but I was talking to one of our buddies about this yesterday, and it could have just been the high we were on from winning senior night, Aidan Fish, all that. But I think I came to the conclusion that I would rather Pitt basketball be consistently good than Pitt football. And
wow,
my tune very well may change by the time football season rolls around. But the way I look at it is you only need like 6 guys, kind of like Pitt does this year, who are really good at basketball in your entire university to go on a run and really make some noise in March. If you're not like one of the 4 schools who can land all the biggest, baddest, strongest, fastest high school kids in the country, it's really hard to be really consistently good and nationally prominent. I love Pitt football, and it would kill me if they went back to being 6-6, 7-5 every year. But also, like, this basketball season has reminded me how fun good college basketball is.
We did discuss this like way back in the summer. I think we might have done a poll and asked the fan base, and I think a lot of people have said basketball. And that was even whenever we didn't have a really good basketball team, and it had been so long since we had a good basketball team. So I bet if we did another poll, we would see
a little bit of that bias.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm obviously more of a football guy. So I prefer when the football team is better. But that's if I were to make an argument, it would also be centered around the fact that there's tailgating at Pitt football games, but I've yet to tailgate a Pitt basketball game. So that factors heavily into my decision. But I do agree that this is sweet. It is so cool to see the city buzzing again.
Tailgating is awesome. I love tailgating. It's actually probably my favorite activity. So, but Pitt could probably really suck in football, and I think I would still go tailgate. But
that's a good point. That's a good point.
If we were Rutgers, we would still tailgate.
It's what we do. It's kind of like our thing.
Who we are.
I also love basketball having like 2 games a week. Having to wait an entire week to watch Pitt play football again is agonizing sometimes.
That is true. That is true.
And the games don't take 4.5 hours.
That's fair. You're making some good points, but at the end of the day, que quienos los dos. Why not both, baby?
Absolutely.
And I like taking us there.
By no means am I trying to disparage football right now. Football is awesome.
Football is probably the coolest thing ever invented. It's like the printing press, democracy, and American style football. My final thought, the NCAA is so ass.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're probably sitting there thinking like, oh, what direction is he going to go in with this is really evidence of how ass it is. I'm speaking more specifically to a ruling handed down by the NCAA to punish Miami for an NIL infraction related to the Cavinder twins on the Miami women's basketball team. They're like crazy popular on social media and TikTok and all that stuff. They've made a ton of NIL money. And I guess their coach, when they were transferring from Fresno State, the coach at Miami, set up a dinner between them and a huge booster for Miami.
It's that Ruiz guy.
Yeah, Ruiz. And it's the first time the NCAA has ever punished a Division I program for an NIL infraction. Of all of the shit that we know to have happened, Jordan Addison was offered $3 million while he was still on the Pitt roster to go to another school. And there's hundreds of stories out there like this. Of all of that, we decide to go after a pair of women's basketball players that are very popular on TikTok.
It's the perfect,
Not exactly.
It's a perfect opportunity for the NCAA to like flex their muscles because it's high profile. If they just did this to like any Joe Schmo college athlete, nobody would care. It's a big school. They're popular, so it'll get headlines. And I think they think it'll be like a warning shot to these other schools. It's like, hey, you could be next if you do this, because what you just described happens all the time. But I don't think any real program or booster will take the NCAA seriously and be like, oh, well, I can't talk to people in the portal, or if they're not in the portal yet.
I mean, but they also clearly decided to go after a sport that isn't exactly the bell cow in terms of revenue. Like, they aren't going to be hurting anyone in their pockets.
Well, what was the actual punishment?
I think the coach got suspended for 3 days or 3 games.
Actually, just was looking through. There was a list of punishment here. There was a 1-year probation, $5,000 fine plus 1% of the women's basketball budget, a 7% reduction in the number of official visits in women's basketball. Next year, a reduction of 9 recruiting person days. I don't know if that means in-person days in women's basketball next year. 3-week prohibition against recruiting communications by women's basketball staff with the open day of the transfer portal. A 10% suspension for the head coach. 3 games served for the last 3 games of this season. So a bunch of things that ultimately will be just like fine.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt Miami financially, and they can get their message out because, again, the Twins have a massive following. It just really rubs me wrong that they chose to go after a women's team first, because there's a huge disparity between the NIL money that male college athletes and female college athletes are seeing. So, like, why are we over policing, women's basketball? Especially when we know football is the big, problem here.
Don't hold your breath.
Oh, I won't. Yeah, this is just example 2,510,651 of the NCAA being the worst governing body to exist.
Fuck them.
Let those kids get their money. So that about wraps that up. Thank you for listening this week. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Loyal Sons. Subscribe to our YouTube. We forget to push that one. Everyone, please go to our YouTube and subscribe so you can watch this. It's like a normal podcast, but with your eyes.
Yeah, some people actually prefer the video version of it. I know some people, that's like the only way they take in podcasts. So I'm sure there's some people listening who didn't even realize we had a YouTube. So really good marketing by us there.
Yeah, I've started doing my hair for the show now, so you know we're taking it seriously. There's gel in my hair on a Sunday. Please reward that effort by liking and subscribing. Did I say Friday?
No, I think you said Sunday. I don't know. We've been just going for too long here. It's time to wrap this
It's been
up.
a long weekend, yeah.
If you're listening right now, thank you.
If you're watching, double thank you.
As always, hail loyal sons of Pittsburgh.